All right, so when we left off, we had a new character. I'm going to do my best to speak and do his voice in a Scottish accent, but I'm a little rusty on my Scottish accent ability. Anyway, so as Sam is in this dogfighting ring, how does he escape? What's he do?
He jumps over people and goes down this hall.
He follows a voice. He jumps over to people. He goes down this hall. How does he get from point A to point B, though?
He goes through this little tiny hole.
Before he gets to the hole, how does he get through the crowd of people?
He jumps on the head by one person by one person.
Yeah, like one head at a time. He's jumping. And these guys are like grabbing at him because it's all crowded, and he's hopping along. And he makes his way all the way to the air vent where the voice is coming from. And he doesn't know why to follow it, but it's like his only way out. Presley, close your computer, please.
I'm doing work. I wonder what that guy would look
Close
like
your computer,
in real
bud.
life.
I need you to follow along.
I wonder what that British dude look like in real life. He probably scared me.
Close it. Read.
You really make me close the door.
Yes. Thank you. So that guy grabs his tail right as he makes his way through the air vent. And how does Sam the Lion get away from the guy?
Pees on him.
The nuclear button. He pees all over the guy, puts his cigar out. The guy's like, ah! It is, I would imagine, not great to have a dog pee on your face.
This right here smells like, and this right here sounds like, whenever we went to the event, it sounds like, gaming. That game.
American Idol?
No. When it goes to and you have some killer, I forgot what it is.
Family Feud.
No. Among Us. We had to go to the vents, air vents.
Okay, so it reminds you of the game Among Us where you have to go through the air vents. That would be a text-to-world connection, Presley. Thank you. All right, Presley, we are on page 143. Chapter 24 is entitled Curtains. Sam wiggled through the heating vent duct like a rat in a drain pipe. The sounds of the hollering men growing distant behind him. He saw a light ahead and aimed for it. He hit the wall grate and tumbled out into a filthy stairwell. The source of the voice stood staring at him nervously on the steps. It was, from Sam's best guess, a Scottish Terrier hyena dust mop mix. Here's a picture of that cute looking dog. That's hilarious. I'm on page 144 now. So if you look at that picture, Sam describes him as a Scottish Terrier hyena dust mop mix. Yeah.
He looks like a mess.
He looks like a mess is what he looks like.
Exactly.
One that appeared to have been plugged into an electrical socket while standing in a dish of muddy water. Who are you? Said Sam. No. Who are you? Said the beast with an odd Scottish lilt. Well, you called for me to run into the duct. No, I called for one of them 60-pound murder and mayhem machines. And out pops a Pee-wee tofu pup wearing a kitchen spoon. Now, what bloody good are you? What good am I for what? Said Sam. He followed the mutt's nervous glance down the stairs. A dozen serious, murderous-looking feral cats crept up from the building's depths straight toward him. The new dog looked at Sam and shrugged. So, this dog is calling for help from the dogfighting ring. He's expecting a pit bull, right? And as the dog pops out of the vent, it's a wiener dog, who's not typically the dogs that win in dogfighting rings. The new dog looked at Sam and shrugged. Yep, it appears in that regards to the house management, I'm a little behind on me mouse payments. He pointed at his pursuers. Sick 'em, killer. Suddenly, a metal door flew open on the landing just behind the gang of cats, out of which tumbled a gaggle of men. The large, bald one, still with a soggy cigar in his mouth, was wiping his head dry of the defensive dachshund pee. The damp man yelled, There! Get him! Sam, by the way, I got a really good story about this. My neighbor, across the street from us, they had a wiener dog, like a dachshund, pit bull mix. True story, one of the weirdest dogs I've ever seen. Had the head of a pit bull,
Yep.
the body of a wiener dog,
Yep.
but the muscles of a pit bull. But it was like long and skinny with the head, a full size head.
It's tall, like.
No, it was small. Anyway, his name was Rocky. And Rocky would get out all the time, and Rocky and I had a special bond. I'd watch him and walk him for my neighbors every once in a while and chase him down when he got out. And Rocky gets out, and he runs over, and I'm like, Rocky, come here. And he comes running over to me, and he rolls over onto his back so I could pet his belly. And as I go down to pet his belly, because I was trying to keep him so he didn't run off, because the neighbors couldn't, catch him. As I go to pet his belly, pees all in my face, and it was, horrible. I was totally surprised. It was really gross, and it smelled terrible. My kids saw that, and they still to this day like, you remember when Rocky peed on your face? And I'm like, yeah, I remember that. So I feel for this bald man and his soggy face. I know exactly what that's like. That's a text-to-self connection. Let's keep reading. There, get him! Sam spun and dashed up the stairs, the other dogs following. Sam hit the roof door and found himself on the empty flat rooftop 4 stories above the streets in the driving rain of a summer night's thunderstorm. The skies lit up and cracked in rolling rumbles. The gang of cats emerged from the doorway 50 feet opposite of them. They fanned out to attack, crouching low. The men followed, pulling their shirts over their heads against the rain. They too fanned out. Sam and the mutt's backs were now up against a low wall at the corner of the roof, 60 feet above the concrete.
Yeah, that's concrete.
Cracked.
Yeah, I know what
The men and cats started moving in on them. Well, now, said the new dog without taking his eyes off their assailants, guess you're pretty glad I got you out of that bit of trouble down there, Sammy old lad.
No.
Sam glared at the dog. Hey, how'd you know my name was Sam? Well, now it's not Maurice Tenderboogers, is it? No. Bubbles Grabov?
No.
No. Peaches?
No.
No? Good, because that's my name. That leaves Sam. Sam ignored this curious logic because the men were getting closer and they were holding wooden clubs and slapping them on their sweaty hands. Within moments, they and the rabid pack of cats would be upon the filthy, disheveled, mud and sweat-caked little pair. Looks like it's curtains for us, Sammy, whispered Peaches, staring at the approaching attackers. You and me, we've been through a lot together, experienced all the ups and downs of life. I'd like to just say that if you and I ever depart this cruel world, he licked his paw and smoothed the clod of lawn sod on his head, and we'll be going out looking our very best. Sam twitched. Going out looking our very best? Repeated Sam to himself. And then, in the span of a single second, in the same tiny amount of time it takes for the most complex adventure to spool out in a dream, it all just popped into Sam's mind. How to get to Cassius. Born instantly in all of its devious complexity, whole and complete. Wait a minute, why is he thinking of Cassius? What reminded him of Cassius?
Going out looking by himself.
It was actually that dogfighting ring. If you remember back at the very beginning of the story, there's the poster of the Westminster Dog Club show. And there's a picture of Cassius on that poster. And Sam, it just occurs to him, as he's in this emergency-like situation, Presley, sit down. You don't need a pencil right now. Sit down, please. Thank you. And so it occurs to him in that moment, like, I got it. I know how to get back to Cassius. Born instantly in all its devious complexity, whole and complete, going out looking our best. Sam's face lit up in a dark sort of way. Sam looked around. He spotted what he was looking for. Jumping onto the low wall, he swung the steel ladle of his stump and hooked it onto a telephone cable stretching down to a junction box at the street 4 floors below. Hanging upside down by his chrome foot in the driving rain and holding on to the wall, he was about to let go when he looked back at Peaches. You want to come or you got other plans? So imagine this. Sam's got his ladle right on his foot, and he hooks it over the top of the wire that's going from the roof all the way down to the street. And so he's upside down, hanging upside down, and he's about to grab Peaches, and they're going to slide away to escape. Hey, it depends. Where are we going? To destroy the International Westminster Dog Show in front of the world. Peaches blinked. Or we could just go hide in a dumpster, said the mutt. And the men and the feral cats were running at him now, hands and claws stretched out. Alas, said Peaches, staring at the looming mob. No time. Suddenly, a white figure dashed in front of them from the left, skidding to a halt between the dogs and their pursuers. It was the huge pit bull killing machine Sam had just vanquished moments before, stood there, legs apart, head low, teeth flashing, and drool pooling on the pavement below his curled lips. But he faced the men and the cats, who wisely started backing up. Turning his great, square, bruised head back towards Sam, he said, "Go!" And then he grinned and added, "Before I tried to kill you, you asked me if there was anything I'd rather be doing. It came to me. Musical theater. Now go!" Sam saluted the bull terrier, turned and leapt for the telephone cable. He hooked the soup ladle on his wire and hung upside down. He looked back at Peaches and said, "Plane's leaving." Peaches leaped onto Sam's upside-down back and sank claws into Sam's belly, making him wince. Sam let go of the wall, and the three-legged dachshund and frazzled doggy dust mop slid down the rain-soaked cable, down below below a silver soup spoon, down into the driving storm, down toward the flooded street that led away from town and away from trouble and directly toward far, far more. I'll have to stop there for today.